Big time fight on the prelims of UFC 286. The 28-fight unbeaten streak is no more for Wales tank Jack Shore. And he's going to be taking on Mr. Finland, Makwan Amirkhani. And this is a really interesting fight because for Jack Shore, first fight at featherweight since 2017. He was the Cage Warriors bantamweight champ. He came into the UFC. He finished Nolene Hernandez. That was a performance bonus. And he's had some ups and downs, but mainly wins. And you go down through the record, he beats Hunter Azure by split. He then is able to get a win over Ludwig Sholinyan, where he just completely dominated that matchup. And then the last win before, of course, his loss to Ricky Simone. He goes out there against Timur Valiev and had him on skates at multiple points. The Ultimate Fighter Zone, Timur Valiev. But for sure, his last time out, a couple of things got him caught. He didn't have the wrestling advantage against Ricky Simone. He struggled with the fact that he tends to stand really straight up, throwing a lot of his boxing combinations. Simone was able to kind of pick all of that apart, have a wrestling advantage, hit that big time overhand that dropped him, and then from there, Simone jumps into mount, and then a mounted arm triangle, which was a really, really impressive win for Simone. So all of a sudden, Shore goes from 28 wins combined amateur and pro to fighting Makwan Amirkhani, who's 1-4 in his last 5, and Ricky Simone goes to fight Sung Yadong in a big-time fight. So, really, oh, how the tides have turned for Simone and for Shore. And Matt, I know you've had a lot of shine towards Jack Shore. Makwan Amirkhani, it's been a tough run as of late.
And a lot of patina towards Amirkhani.
For Makwan, I mean, from the Andy Ogle win when he comes into the UFC to even his win over Mike Grundy, the biggest part for a guy like Amirkhani in a matchup like Shore is maybe he doesn't have the offensive wrestling edge over a guy like Jack Shore. But if you do look at it, look at all of the wins that Makwan has by the Darce choke, or the Anaconda choke. He's got one against Tom Duquesnoy, one against Chris Fishgold, one against, Mike Grundy the last time out. Like, those are just some of the guys that he has been able to beat that way, and Danny Henry is the fourth. The trouble that he has is he tends to get dropped in some of his fights, and that might not happen in the one against Jack Shore.
I just worry about the cardio, though, for Amirkhani, because we talk about some fighters and how in the third round they might be tired, but they fight in a very similar manner that they did in the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, I guess, because a lot of times we talk about guys who really change with their cardio. It is in a fifth round atmosphere, but for Amirkhani, he does not look like the same guy in the third round as he does in the first round. And I know the wins are impressive because when he is able to get the win, it's normally this quick finish by submission or knockout because he's such an explosive guy. But I look at Amirkhani a little bit like I look at Joe Lozon. I know that's a weird name to bring up, but Joe Lozon was a guy for the longest time, was kind of thin, wasn't really looked at as a big puncher, but when he landed big shots, he had pretty good damage on them. And, of course, we know how good his submission ability is. And for Amirkhani, he does share a little bit of that. But for Amirkhani, my whole issue has been throughout his whole entire career is the thing that he does best gets him tired and leads him towards the thing that tends to lead him towards losses, and that's the issue. If Amirkhani had the gas tank of a Merab Dvalishvili, that's a bit of a cop-out. If anybody had the gas tank of Merab Dvalishvili, they would probably be the UFC champion. But you get the idea. If he had that type of a gas tank to where he could go out there and kind of spam takedown attempts to really try to get the fight to the mat, then I would love the style of Amirkhani. But my issue is, when he does go for a lot of those takedown attempts, when they are thwarted, when he is getting hit as a result, needing damage, he won't go for them as much. He'll start to reach a lot for the takedown attempts. He won't strike his way into it. And against a guy like Jack Shore, you're right. Will he have to worry about the long-range strikes? Not as much. But if Amirkhani's cardio starts to get a little bit ticked down, I could see Jack Shore not having a massive grappling advantage just skill-wise in this matchup, because again, Amirkhani is a good grappler, but if Amirkhani is only 80% of himself by the end of the second round, I could see a world where Jack Shore can get on top and start to really implement his effective grappling.
If you look at it for Amirkhani, and we've seen some weird performances, I mean, Jason Knight dropped him twice, who else was able to drop him? Barboza dropped him twice, Burgos dropped him once.
That was a weird match.
Murphy dropped him and finished him, but for Amirkhani, the 4 on in, or the 5 on in, but the 4 losses. Barboza with the drops, Camuela Kirk was able to go out there, and once the wrestling, kind of slowed down for Amirkhani, Kirk was able to pick up the stand-up, though a lot of people thought that Amirkhani won that fight. Murphy got taken down a ton in the first round, rallied back in the second with the knee. Amirkhani, on a takedown attempt from Mike Grundy, is able to submit him. Weird extenuating circumstance around that fight. They highlighted the fact that Mike Grundy, his father was ill, but he was there right before the fight. And then against Jonathan Pierce and Amirkhani's last time out, Pierce was like a wave of the tide. I mean, he took him down. He poured on just an onslaught of fists and then it ended up just an accumulation into the TKO loss. So for Jack Shore, again, I touched on it, the fact that he himself has IMMAF lineage. He was a European champion back in 2015. It might surprise you. It was a lightweight. He was able to win that at lightweight. Fought all the way through to bantamweight when he switched in 2018. Comes into the UFC as a bantamweight, but he has experience as a featherweight, as a lightweight. So eager to see physically how he matches up in this fight, because we saw a fellow prospect out of the UK in Nathaniel Wood have tons of success at bantamweight. Weight cut was too tough. Moves up to featherweight. Looked great in his featherweight debut in the UFC. But Matt, in this matchup, Jack Shore, giant favorite in the matchup. We have a look at the Topology vote. Surprise us it is to you. I'm going to say over under 89% Jack Shore.
I'm saying over.
It's over. 945 total votes, 94% Shore, 62% by decision for the 6% that of Amirkhani, 54% by submission. Maybe there's a chance that Makwan Amirkhani wins by submission. I mean, hell, Alexa Grasso is a flyweight champ, and Juliana Pena beat Amanda Nunes. I'm going to say Jack Shore in the matchup, but for me, I like the consistency through 3 rounds. I like the boxing. I like the takedowns. And Jack Shore is a heavy guy when he is on top.
Exactly.
And for sure, I don't look at Amirkhani the same way I look at Ricky Simone. I have rose-colored glasses with Ricky Simone, though. But when I look at it for Jack Shore, 7 of his 8 submission wins are by rear naked choke, whereas Amirkhani's specialty is landing the Darce, rolling it into an anaconda. There could be some really tricky scrambles in this one. I do like Jack Shore in the matchup.
I like Jack Shore too. I just hope we see a good version of him up at 145 pounds. Because again, first foray into the division, it is a very deep division too. So hopefully Shore does look good. Hopefully he matches up well physically in the division. But I also have Jack Shore in this fight.
Both of us going with Wales' own Tank Jack Shore, fighting out of Shore Martial Arts Father's Gym. He got his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt from him. And Makwan fights out of, well, the MA gym, the Makwan Amirkhani gym. So a couple of guys looking to get it done at featherweight. Some big-time fights on this card, Matt, including Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. I can't wait for it. Make sure you check out the video. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.